Welcome to Jacket Jockeys with
And
Justin.
me, hi.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. How's it going with you?
Hey, not bad, not bad. Could be
I meant
worse.
them.
Oh, I met them too, but then you addressed me, so I thought I'd roll with it. But oh well. I
Wow.
guess we're not talking to each other at all, are
Wow,
we?
this is going to be a great podcast. We're really synced up.
We're here to discuss season two.
Oh my.
Okay, season
Should we just
three.
start over?
We're here to discuss season 3, episode 9 of Showtime's Yellowjackets, now streaming on Paramount Plus, entitled How the Story Ends.
Hmm.
I would say it was a fairly eventful episode.
Indeed.
Lots of moves, lots of shakes.
Yep. Yep.
Definitely some lingering doubts, but also some suspicions allayed.
Yes.
all sorts of
Yeah, so many things happened.
all
Where to
sorts of
begin?
all sorts of bits and bibs and bobs, as they say
And this is
across the
our
pond.
penultimate
Yes, this is our
episode of the
penultimate
season.
episode where the story ends.
Classic.
Um,
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, classic penultimate episode.
for sure,
It's
for sure. So yeah, any generic things you want to say, or you want to just like dive in
I
and
think we
see
should just dive
see how we
in.
roll with it? Okay. So uh I just um I got my previously on comments from this
Yes.
week because they play this thing from it was a couple episodes ago. It was when they first were driving out to go find Alex, right? Because it was like Alex sent the tape. I mean, that was the original
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Like no one really believed that outside in planet Earth here where we live, but
In the
like
fandom, you mean?
yeah, but
Hmm.
like in the show, that's anyway, there's this line, why didn't we know about this kid in the first place? And then they have the follow up, Gen and Melissa got close, blah blah blah, but they're dead, right? So like based on what happens in this episode, like I'm a little confused by that because Shauna absolutely heard about it. Like back then she
Yeah,
brushes it off as a lie,
yeah,
but
yeah. She claims it was a lie. Yeah,
like I just thought that was a weird choice to like just throw that in when it's like I thought the whole point was they had no idea, but whatever.
yeah.
Um,
It's an interesting point.
of course it is partially a lie. I'll get to that later. But anyway, that just stood out to me because after I had seen the episode one time, I was like, oh, that's weird. Um, I forgot that they said it that way. Um, okay, so we start off. We're in the present. Van is dreaming in the hospital, and she sees her younger self, um, but asks for Thaisa. And we're gonna go with T Van and A Van. Hopefully that's okay.
Even.
Teen and adult.
I see.
Just to clarify, I just needed a way to
Yeah, yeah.
distinguish them. So T Van says that Ty and Misty are there, but Shauna ditched her. But that figures, doesn't it? I'll come back to that. Avan asks if she is dead. T Van says death is around every corner. And then
Ugh.
T Van asks her if she remembers the Goonies, reciting the plot, talking about it as a hero's journey. And she says, X marks the spot.
Ugh.
Thaisa's been trying to show you. Listen to her. I don't know what that means. Avan says she hasn't been herself lately, meaning Thaisa. T-Van says, even more reason she needs this too. But I thought you said, all right, whatever. T-Van put something in the IV drip, quote, for the road. And A-Van asks where she is going. And we hear to get the treasure in a voiceover, because that's from the Goonies, which I
Yeah,
didn't recite, but that's anyway.
yeah.
Okay. My comments on this scene are as follows. Right. So T-Van mentions like Shauna ditching Van, and like I just thought that was notable because, again, I don't think this stuff is anything but what's in Van's head.
Yeah.
So she can't know anything that Van herself doesn't know. Of
Yeah.
course, you mentioned that, she could have overheard discussion because like Misty saw Shauna drive away and she's been like there, and
Yeah.
so she probably told Thaisa.
I think that
And
in fiction, people who are kind of unconscious or in a coma or whatever, here retain, make meaning out of anything that the writers want them to.
yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
And it's one of
um
those kind of, I don't know, it's one of those things that fascinates people, I think, how much can people who are unconscious tell of what's going on around them. So I think it makes for good drama,
yeah, yeah,
or in
yeah,
this case, just practicality.
sure, sure. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was a weird note. But the other thing is like, so she says like, let me say it, and if you're listening, Liv Houston, this is how you say it. But that figures, doesn't it? But that figures.
No, she learned English by listening to Alanis Morissette.
That is what it sounds like. She's
It
Canadian though.
figures.
She has no excuse. I guess it's weird to sing figures, so maybe that's why. But like, I just
Figures.
because the actor's Australian, I thought
Oh,
like, oh, she's kind of tripping over that word. Like I could tell it was like a bit of a struggle to try to say it in the American way, you know.
uh-huh.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I just wrote down because it kind of sounded like figures, like she
Figures.
wanted to say figures, but
Figures.
like she was like, no, they do the hard R, so it's figures.
Oh,
It's not
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Lean into it. Anyway, that's my advice going forward.
Yeah. I'm sure she listens.
I hope so. Okay. The X marks the spot thing. I'll come back to that. Thais has been
Yeah.
trying to
So,
show you, listen to her. That's weird to me. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I should kill somebody? Is that what you're really saying? Because you later on you suggest that's not true. So like, what the fuck's your deal? Like, or is this Van's internal monologue, and therefore this is like her telling herself she needs to listen to Thaisa, and she's going to like consider killing Melissa at the end, finally not being able to do it. So then she changes her. Like,
yeah,
is that what's going on?
that was my
Okay,
interpretation.
all right, fair enough. X marks the spot. Okay.
Yeah, hate it.
Um, yeah,
Did I already say that 3 times?
you did. Putting like ghost stuff into the IV drip is weird. Like I
Uh-huh.
don't like this is for the roads. Like that doesn't mean anything, right? I don't know. That's how I'm taking it. Okay, but anyway, we open up on this, I think because of where the episode's going.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's a sign. I really like the scenes between Avan and T-Van throughout this episode.
Yeah, yeah, it's a thing.
And it is also, a strong clue that Avan's gonna meet her end.
Yeah. It's definitely a well they've gone to a few times when a character is about to meet their
Yeah.
demise. So yeah. Obviously we're going to come back to that so we can
Yes.
continue from there. Van wakes up, Ty's there. Van asks what she missed. Ty's upset. Van reassures her, telling a story about a guy by the shore, quote, housing a box of saltwater taffy, wanting to do it before he died. Ty promises her taffy when they get home, but Van says we're not going home, and I don't like taffy. And then she takes off her hospital stuff and says, Goonies never die.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I don't know. Is this a New Jersey thing? Like, housing? Meaning like what? Eating voraciously? I'm not
I
even
think it
sure
means
what that
eating
means.
voraciously. That sounds right.
I,
From context. I'm just using context
I
clues.
know. It's just like I'm just like, what the fuck is that word? Like, what are you talking about? Housing? Like,
Yeah.
I just
I don't
that's
know.
not a usage that I am aware of.
Yeah.
Um, I'll tell you the other thing that like bothers me about this a little bit is like,
Wow, there's a lot of things that it means. But according to the AI overview, to consume food or drink quickly or in large quantities, often to the point of excess.
okay, so that is voraciously for sure. Okay.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah, that is what it sounded like.
It apparently also means when one wears their shorts or pants around their ass instead of around their waist.
Okay.
Yeah, Urban Dictionary's always got some bonus definitions of
Yeah, and
things.
sometimes I'm like, what, like two people said that, and so like now you're gonna, I don't know.
I,
Sometimes I feel like they make it up. Anyway,
I'm not a slangologist.
me either, technically. Yeah. So I was just gonna say, like, it's fine. But like it's like I've been having this thing sometimes with this show where like I like for a small example of this, I'm thinking about like when we left off with Shauna outside the house at night. And then we pick up the next episode and like she fell asleep and it's the next morning, which is fine continuity wise, but it just seems to break what we were led to believe was happening there.
Yeah.
And so like in the last episode we left off with there's this thing where like Thaisa, it's really the bad one, like locks herself in that room and like real Thais is outside
I
going
know,
like,
and now it's just
what are you
over.
doing?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm doing what you couldn't do. And she doesn't do shit.
She doesn't do
It's like it
anything. We
goes
don't find out. Yeah,
nowhere.
the scene just ends at that, and we never see the transition of what happened in between. I don't believe that anything happened in between that is going to be revealed.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Yeah.
It just bugs me when they do a scene that implies something's gonna happen
But
and
they're
then
just
like
trying to,
nothing
yeah, they're
happens.
just trying to get some cheap drama.
They come back and they're like, what? Like, she's just in the hospital. Like, well, then why did you leave it on
Yeah.
that weird note? Like, they should have just had Thaisa go sit by the bed and then this would have been fine. Like,
Yeah.
if they didn't, it's like they made fake drama that,
Yeah.
just to like throw
Yes,
us
that's
off.
exactly what it
I don't know.
is.
That just
Yeah.
bothers me, but whatever. It's fine. Um, okay. So ready for the next scene? All right. So go back to Shauna holding the chunk of Mel up for her to
Ugh,
eat,
this is so
recapitulating the
gross.
threat. So here we at least do leave off or come back to where we left off. I don't think they can pretend like that shit didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's a hard one. Anyway, I'm going with Mel just because Melissa's too long for me to say. Sometimes I say it, but not usually.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm lazy. What can
You're
I
gonna
say?
save 20 minutes.
Hey, you're right. Sorry, everybody. You want to hear 20 minutes of
Issa.
it's
Issa. Issa.
you can cut it back in if you want. Mel, it's like that.
Yeah, we'll do that in post-production.
Sounds
Go ahead.
good. Sorry, Mel starts to chew it, but then spits it in Shauna's face
So disgusting.
and struggles and grabs her keys and gets away and runs to her car, pursued by a Shauna bear, and drives away quickly, noticing that she's about to be out of gas.
Yeah, or at least we notice it. And apparently it
I
was
think she
already
sees it. I
mentioned.
could be wrong.
It was mentioned by
Yes.
the wife.
In that incidental dialogue that felt like it meant nothing,
Mhm.
so I didn't even mention it.
Yeah.
I really should learn, Usually they don't have lines that are like totally pointless because it's like, why would that even be in there? But it just sounded like idle chit chat, so I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, it
But
didn't matter, but it was nice that Shauna remembered
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
made a petty point of it.
Yeah, of
Or as Shauna
course.
says, a
Hey,
point of it.
count on I was gonna say count on Shauna to be there for a petty point. She's real good with that these days.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, do you remember how lovable she was in the first
It's
all those scenes with Adam Martin?
them days are gone. Yeah, yeah, reflections. I do want to talk about that, but I think I'll save it. I think I'll save it for later. But yeah, I do have a few words to say now that we have perspective on season three. Obviously there's one more episode, but like, they're they're reasonably committed at this point with what they've done.
Yeah.
So I think like there's room to do something else, but only so much. But yeah, anyway, I'll come back to that. Um, yeah, so that's kind of just functional. It's getting us to the next place. So you ready to continue?
Yeah, let's
All
get
right,
to
so
that next place.
we go back to the we're not gonna
I
we're going back to
know,
the
I
credits roll, and
know.
then we go back to the past. Nat tells
Oh,
Sean.
can I just say this is totally unimportant, but if that's your play, you don't actually have to chew up your own flesh. You could just spit the chunk right back at
She
her.
wanted to.
It okay.
She wanted to
She
because
wanted
she
that
she
delicious. It's not even
she
cooked.
believes in what the wilderness wants.
It's not even cooked. Okay.
The wilderness wanted her to chew her own
There's no salt on it.
high calorie arm meat.
Ugh. Ugh.
No, I agree. She didn't have to chew, but she did.
But she did.
Um,
All right, let's go
right.
back.
So back to the past. Nat tells Shauna that she doesn't get to tell everyone what to do, but Shauna says, "I already did, and they're gonna do it." So Akila reacts. Lottie says, "You'll see. This is the right decision."
Oh, I doubt it.
Travis says, "We've literally been in hell."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not
Using,
not literally.
using literally in the metaphorical sense back in the 90s. I think they actually did that back then, to
Of
be fair.
course.
We've literally been in hell. You have no right to keep us in it. But Lottie says it's what it wants. Ty says we don't have to stay here forever, saying that they need to clean up before they leave, meaning like hide evidence, I think,
Yeah, I
basically.
think there's something to that.
Um, yeah, I'm coming back to Ty.
Well,
She's bugging me in the past. Cody says, sounds like you have some things to discuss, and tries to leave. He thinks they're just gonna like let him go. Such a ridiculous move. Anyway, Shauna grabs a gun and points it at Cody. Cody asks if she knows how to use it, and Shauna says, "My boyfriend taught me." Cody laughs and shows his hands. Ty says we can put him in the pen. Shauna says, "Take their shoes." And then they're marched to the pen. Van asks Ty if she meant that they could actually leave eventually. And Ty says that the frog scientists, quote, lost their shit when they saw Ben. And why go back if it means ruining their lives? Van asks Ty to remember what winter was like. Ty says, "We survived."
mm,
Van says, "We ate a kid." Ty says, "We're prepared this time." Van says, "We're not. The game will run out eventually, and we know what comes next." Ty says, "Good thing you've been practicing with the cards." And then says, "Trust me," and walks away. And we get a little reaction shot from Van, and that's the end of the scene. This is the scene that was
yeah,
bugging the shit
yeah.
out. I'm like, you
Good
give me
thing
a
good
fucking
thing you've been
break.
practicing not randomly selecting a particular card.
It makes no sense, that comment. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's this. Are you saying she's been practicing how to cheat? Because if you're not saying that, then like, what the fuck are you talking about? And
Yeah.
if she's actually cheating, then that's bullshit. Like, you shouldn't be allowed. If you cheat, it should be you. That should be a rule.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, what am I gonna say here? There's a couple things. Yeah, I just thought it was like kind of a pivot. So like in the
It's definitely
previous.
a pivot. It's and she keeps pivoting, she was pivoting in the last episode around if we go back we won't be accepted.
Right, right. First
You
it was
know.
that, then she went to like whatever. But when she stands up at the end, okay? Because she did talk to Van about like she said, I mean, she didn't even frame it like this. It was a slightly different point that she made in the last episode, which was, this will follow us for the rest of our lives. Like that's a different point from what she's saying here, somewhat. But like when she gets up in front of everyone to like throw in with Shauna and Lottie, she says something doesn't feel right.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like if she made this argument, it's a different story.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of different she just yeah, flipping from reason to reason.
But like this one has some validity.
Yeah.
Like I get the point, right? If we actually go back with these people, they know that like we probably murdered someone and we definitely did a cannibalism.
Yeah.
And I should say probably no, they absolutely did murder someone. They murdered Edwin. Which is to
Yeah.
say Lottie murdered Edwin.
Yeah.
And they probably murdered the other guy, but they know that they have done a
They
murder,
yeah.
and so like they're gonna be like potentially culpable for that when they go back, and like and also if they're gonna like try to call rescue or something, if they come, like there's evidence they could find, and
Yeah.
like they should. I think this makes sense to like think ahead,
Yeah.
like go like okay. In a way, I feel like this is a Misty thing to think, but it also makes sense for Thaisa. Like we need to prepare this area so that the story we're going to tell fits with what they actually find here.
Yeah.
We can't just leave all of our shit, that indicates what we're really up to. And so anyway, I just feel like if she stood up and made that argument, right, that's like then if I'm there and I want to leave, I have to admit, you know what, you got a point, right? But it's like Lottie's woo woo bullshit. It's Shauna's like, you don't get to go because I'm the
Yeah, it's
leader.
like they've all
And I
got
said no.
different yeah, they all have different reasons why they don't want to leave, but
Yeah.
Thaisa's got several reasons she doesn't want
Yeah.
to leave. Shauna's reason for not wanting to leave is kind of just being insane and self-centered.
It's it's hard to even understand what her reason is. It's almost like it's her reason. Her reason is it wasn't my idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's really no, I don't know, she never gives like a really great rationale for doing that, but I just wish Ty had said that, because I feel like that's a way to make that side more reasonable than just something doesn't feel right, or
Yeah.
like, ooh, it's not what it wants, because
Yeah.
like that stuff is like, fuck you, like, okay, stay then, like that has nothing to do with me. But if you say that, it's like, oh, well, actually, that could have to do with me.
Mhm.
you know, I'm implicated in this at the very least as an accessory.
Yeah.
And so like anyway, that just, I don't know, that just bothered me. And yeah, this like good thing you've been practicing. That's such like
That's
horseshit. What are you
stupid.
talking
It means
about? Like I
nothing.
just
And it's so dismissive.
yeah. Yeah, and she's like smirking her way through the scene, and it's just it really bugged me.
Yeah.
But also I have to say, like, I I I I want to say more about this later. But I really do feel like Van has also been like such a flip-flopper. Like she's
Yeah.
gone from one thing to another like multiple
Yeah, but not
times.
since the arrival of the frog scientists. I mean, when the possibility of being rescued in a conventional way, not by some woo-woo vision, like once that presented itself, it was like a switch flipped for her, and she was like, obviously the thing to do is to follow these people to the rendezvous and like get out of here. What are you talking about? So maybe she'll flop again, but
Yeah. I guess the teen one has time to flop if she wants, but yeah, it's just like, so like Ty has this line, where it's like, um you remember what winter was like, and Ty says we survived, right? And like there's that scene with Van, I think it's Van and Travis, where she's like, don't feel guilty.
yeah,
We're surviving.
yeah,
Like, we're doing what it takes. I don't feel bad about it. Right? That's how she frames it back then. But then
yeah,
here, she's going, we ate a kid.
yeah,
And you know what come right? She's like, now she's acting like, oh, actually, I do feel bad about doing what I had to do to
yeah.
survive. That's a
Yeah, but
flip
I mean,
flop.
I don't think that that's unrealistic.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But it's just, I feel like, I guess, since we're saying goodbye to Adult Van in this episode,
Uh-huh.
I kind of want to look back, and I feel like it's not even that I don't believe a character could make those turns. I just feel like the show didn't really like like finesse those
That's
turns. Like it kind of feels like we just suddenly run into one version or another, and she believes, she doesn't believe, it's
uh,
like
yeah,
it's like it just sort of like it's like whatever they need for the scene and the point they want to make is what she's going to do. And I just wish they had paid a little more attention to like what her internal reasoning or thinking is
yeah,
to make that like more convincing, at least for me.
yeah.
Because yeah, like I just that was that was a major moment, and I just think like this is a time for her to say I used, Ty says we survived and she says I used to feel like that, but you know what I mean, like if you
Yeah.
just make a thing where it's clear but she acts like no, like I always knew that was fucked up, like I just haven't been saying it out loud because like
I hear what you're saying.
it's uncomfortable to talk about. So anyway, whatever. Obviously we'll come back to that. The other thing I was gonna say is I just want to make a quick comment. JP Morgan, close your ears. I just want to make a quick comment about this thing where Cody's saying to Shauna, like, do you know how to use that gun? And Shauna says, my boyfriend taught me. Like, this crystallized something for me that had bothered me for years about Lost. There's this, spoilers for Lost, y'all. There's this line where they're going on the plane back to the island, and Ben is reading, and Jack goes, how can you read? And Ben goes, my mother taught me, right? And like I remember at the time like being annoyed by that, because if you know Ben's backstory,
Uh,
you know that his mother died while giving birth to him. That is canonical, and therefore no chance that's what happened, right? But it's like we took it too literally. Like when this line happened, I was like, oh, it's a quip, because obviously Shauna doesn't mean this either, right?
mhm.
Jeff didn't teach her to shoot a gun. That's so not true.
Yeah.
Like, has Jeff ever shot a gun? Like, I doubt it.
Oh,
Anyway, like she's just saying
yeah,
that
of course, it's just a
as
quote.
a snapback, and I
Yeah.
think that's what Ben was doing.
Yeah, of course.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm just
I'm
it
sorry that it took you 10 years to
putting it in it, like it just it felt like they forgot in Lost, but like here it's obvious they didn't forget. It's just a line for the
Yeah,
moment,
I actually never thought they forgot
and it
once.
helps.
No.
Well, all right. I didn't have a lot of confidence in the old days in the
Mhm.
Lost
Aw,
writers.
well, that's a different issue.
Because I just thought they forgot things a lot. Anyway,
Well, they
all right.
forgot some things.
So yeah, there's a lot of ins and outs here, but we will come back to all of them. So, oh, actually, I'm sorry. One more thing I want to say before we move on. So this is like the big moment, right? And like like we talked about it last week. Like, what's Shauna gonna really do? Like, is
Yeah,
she gonna start shooting at him? Like, what are you gonna do to hold them there?
yeah,
And in fact, she wasn't even holding the gun when she said that.
yeah,
She takes it in this scene here after she says the thing.
yeah.
So it's just because she's the leader. Like they just feel like they have to follow her. Like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck that shit. I don't understand why they're not like, fuck that shit. I don't understand why they're not like, time for a mutiny. Like,
Well, we may be headed for a
like
mutiny.
she's leading us
I
into like oblivion. Like, why are we following this crazy person? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like why they feel so under her sway. Like it makes no sense to me. Like I just don't buy it. There's like 15. Like they could easily overpower Shauna, Thaisa, and Lottie if they all fought, and I doubt Lottie would even fight realistically. So like, this is two of them. Like they could easily. I mean, I just like wow, like what are you gonna do? And like you gonna kill us all? Like that's stupid. So it's I don't get why this works. It's annoying to me that it works. And
You're really keyed up today. This episode has pissed you off on so many trivial levels, or maybe an untrivial. I understand. I think that there probably will be some kind of mutiny,
it's a
but
pivotal
it's
moment. And they spend like rest of the episode like doing a secret plan. And
uh
I'm like, why are you even doing a secret plan to sneak away? Why aren't you just
because
sneaking
they're
into Shauna's
afraid
tent and
of
slitting her
her.
throat?
Oh wow.
you know?
Uh,
like like to me that's the obvious plan.
yeah.
You
Well,
know?
Yeah.
Like that's what you do
Not
when
everybody chooses violence.
your leader is like ruling it. That's what you
Yeah.
do when you got a mad king, you know?
Yeah.
Someone's got to be the kingslayer.
Wow. Well, but we've got yeah, okay. But I guess what I would say is they don't want to put themselves at that risk. And they think that maybe they can just sneak around and escape and get to civilization instead of potentially triggering a violent outlash lash out from a really unstable person.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I hear your point. But it's not as if there are not examples from the real world of people not coming together and taking action against a crazy leader
Oh
who's
god.
and,
But you
and
know,
instead succumbing to fear.
to that point, like there's an extent to which, and actually it's a great extent, like a leader is only so powerful as the followers' willingness to follow.
Yes, of course.
And you know, like I just think like
But people are not very courageous.
yeah, well, I just feel like they should have some courage by now, but all right, I guess I'm asking too much. They do stuff, whatever. I want more. And I'm not saying I would do better because I would have been eaten in the first winter.
Yes,
Okay.
we all know. You're the first to get eaten.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like pushing Jackie off and jumping on the fucking barbecue. Just eat me already. I can't take it
I haven't
anymore.
taken a shower in 3 days. Kill
It's
me.
it's the worst. It's the worst. All right. Anyway, all right. I'm ready to move on now.
Oh wow.
Okay. Are you? All
Yeah.
right. So we go back to the present. Ty, Van, and Misty drive to find Shauna, wondering how bad it will be. And they pass by Melissa, car broken down. Misty recognizes her
Immediately.
immediately.
Even though they don't know that that's where they're headed.
Yeah. Van agrees that it's Mel, and Mel says, "Oh shit," and runs. Ty backs up the car to catch up, pulling in front of her. She runs into the car but keeps running around it, is eventually tackled by Ty in a like a soccer move.
Yeah, it's like a slide tackle.
It's totally what it
That's
is.
what they call it.
And that thank you. And then Misty threatens her with a tire iron.
Ah!
Van that Van sees a railroad crossing sign and thinks X marks what's the
I
spot.
hate it.
So
There's X's everywhere.
so yeah, you said there's a scene we're coming to later that you said was the most Lindelof scene in the episode, which I agree with. This is the second most Lindelof scene in the episode.
Okay.
Because it's like, yeah, you can believe that's what that means if you want.
Yeah.
And it's clear that she does. Like, I think I'm sort of putting it together in terms of like Thais has been showing you the way, you know, X marks the spot.
Yeah.
It's like X marks Melissa. She's the one, right? She's the chosen sacrifice. Like that's how she's taken it. And like I didn't really put that together until just earlier when I
Yeah.
was reading that thing. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that's the point. But yeah, obviously this is like you make your own patterns. You
Yeah.
decide what you want things to mean. That's what this show does.
Oh my
And
god, Justin, there's an X right above your head.
oh no, are you gonna kill
I'm
me?
gonna eat you.
Don't eat me, please.
Gonna start with that high calorie butt meat.
Okay, so Misty recognizing Melissa is like whatever. I don't really believe it, but like I kind of just take it as like
Yeah, yeah.
they
It just
needed
needed to
someone to
happen.
recognize her for this to work. But I'll tell you what I find interesting about this is Melissa like going, "Oh shit," and running. Like why? Why are you running, Melissa?
Because she's afraid of them all.
Why though? They ain't Shauna. Like, why do you think they're gonna do what Shauna did? Like, I don't understand. You know, it's
I mean,
like
it can't be good.
Shauna came separately by herself and did that stuff.
Yeah.
I like and I mean they're like specifically like
But
worried
she's
about
hiding from them. I mean, she changed her identity, faked her own death in order to not be found by them.
right, but they've obviously recognized her. So like I'm just saying, like, what's the point in running? Like, does she really think they're gonna like take another bite out of her arm and like make her eat it just like Shauna did? I just find it
I
a
don't
bit
know what
odd.
I don't know what we're supposed to think that she thinks is going to happen.
Given where we
I'm
end
also
things.
not sure why she thinks that she can outrun the car. Like you can't outrun a car.
Hey, she's a million
And
dollar baby, okay? She can
yeah,
outrun anything.
yeah, boxers are not necessarily fast.
If outrunning means punch.
Yeah, like run into the field at least. Like yeah,
Yeah, she didn't
or
even
like
do
get
that.
into your car and lock it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. So it might not mean much. It's just given where Melissa ends up in this episode, I am inclined to question her actions more now. And so I just thought it was interesting that her first instinct wasn't, oh, hey, y'all. It was, oh, shit, I gotta run. Like
yeah,
thinking they're coming for her, And I'm like,
yeah.
why do you think that, Melissa? Why do you think that? All right,
Hmm.
anyway,
Well,
that's just
it may mean something.
I don't necessarily think it does, but
Uh,
it feels like it could be something. So I just wanted to mention it.
it's not necessarily nothing.
Why are you saying it like that?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. You ready to continue?
Yeah.
All right. Back in the car, we have TV and M joined by Melissa. That's Thaisa, Van, and
Uh-huh.
Misty. Just to
Yes.
clarify, that's TVM squad.
TPM squad.
Now they're TVMM. Not really a squad though.
Hmm.
Anyway, Van asks how she's been. Misty says she's dead,
She's dead.
meaning Melissa.
Oh.
Mel says that because she was supposed to have died, like they went to her
Yes.
funeral, so that's why
Yeah,
she's saying like you're supposed to be dead. That's what she means.
got it.
Um, Mel says that Shauna broke into her house and attacked her. Ty asks if she sent the tape. She says yes, but quote, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it. She said that. I just want to point it out. Okay. Van
Is
points
there?
Van points out that the tape is, quote, evidence of murder. Ty asks how she thought Shauna was going to react. And Mel says, God, speaking of getting irritated, Mel
Yeah, we
says,
can all hear it in your voice.
hello, do you know why I'm bleeding? She made me eat my fucking arm. Van says, okay, we gotta find her. Mel says, let me out then, but they don't. Van tells her to shut up or you really will be dead. Okay. Yeah. Just a couple of points here. I think she left out some things in her story, but like broke into her house and attacked her. That's fine. That did happen. I did carefully watch her go for the knife. By the way, I literally had to replay it again in the previously on. I watched it last night in the previously on. I watched it today in the previously on. Both times I didn't see it. I had to go back and stare at the knife the entire time to see it. It's like real quick. She just very quickly puts her hand on it.
But it
Like
happens.
it was subtle. It definitely happens, but damn,
Not so subtle as to escape my
well,
notice.
you notice everything, but my point is like I had such a hard time seeing it that I had to like specifically
Yeah.
make myself only look at the knife.
It happens very fast.
It really does. Okay. So yeah, this line, like there's a lot more to what do you mean there's a lot more to it? Is she alluding to the note? Like what is she talking about? There's a lot more to it. Or is she alluding to the backstory of like her therapist Barbara and like letting go or whatever? Like, is she talking about that stuff? Like,
I'm yeah, I assumed that she was talking about that stuff.
okay, okay. And then like this part just bugs the shit out of me. This like, how did you think Shauna was gonna react? Hello, she made me eat my arm. It's like, that's
That's not an
actually
answer to the question.
not only is it not an answer to the question, it makes it even more absurd that you did it. You're not
Mhm.
helping your case by saying that. You're actually illustrating the reason why the question is being asked.
Mhm.
So why again? She never fucking
She never
answers. So
answers.
I am really, especially like I said, with where we leave things, like I'm inclined to question her motives more. And I am wondering,
Well, as you know, I was already questioning
I
who it was.
wasn't. I bought into. She seemed so earnest, and I just and like Shauna seemed like the unhinged one, and of course
Well,
she is
yeah,
unhinged. But like like this show, like oh Melissa's kind of fucked up too, apparently, like which isn't that big of a surprise, but
yeah,
still, like it, I want to know why she sent it to Shauna because like even when she was telling Shauna the story, it didn't make sense. Like
yeah,
it was like she says like you scared the shit out of me, and then like it's like but even Shauna doesn't ask. So I'm like, well, what the fuck, And like, well, I got more, but I'll come back to that later. But yeah, that
yeah.
that part that part drove me crazy
Yeah.
every time I saw
Yeah.
it.
I think we should revisit that after next week's
Yeah, yeah,
episode
yeah.
because I do think there are more reveals
Yeah,
coming.
I agree.
And so we can evaluate whether those lines still feel correct or if they still feel sloppy.
Yeah. It's just I mean we've talked about it before, but it's kind of like a classic TV move to ask a probing and interesting question
And then you just
and
don't
get
get
a
an answer. Yeah.
non-answer because they just pivot to something else.
Yeah.
But like the pivot here made me almost as angry as a non-answer would have. like if she just said like the typical thing you'll get is like it doesn't matter, there's no time, or we can
Yeah.
talk about it
Yeah.
later, right? Like that's usually the kind of shit we get, but it's like her answer made it even more annoying to me, so
Uh-huh.
I just had to say that. All right, I'm done now.
Wow.
All right, you ready to move on?
I am.
Okay. Back to the past. Travis sets up a bunch of branches over the pit.
Yeah,
And
we were all waiting to go back to that pit and
yep.
now the sticks are in
And
it.
then he tosses a log onto the covering that he made, and it sinks. And we see that the pit has the spikes in it now. Not sure who put those in,
I
but
mean, I think the implication is that Travis did.
yeah. I mean,
I
I agree that that's a logical thing to
that's
assume.
I mean, I know how to watch
I
television.
agree that's a logical thing to assume. It's just so like does it so okay, so what that would mean is that actually it was Travis's idea to turn the pit into a trap.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's something we didn't know. That is new information. And obviously, attentive viewers will remember, you have to be super attentive to
Yeah.
remember this, that this is the Pit Girl pit. So that we have finally reached a point where it has been turned into a trap in the form we saw it when the first scene of the entire show happened.
Yeah.
So obviously, the next winter is when that should happen, which starts at the end of this episode. So I mean, we're doing a march for
We're
that
getting
scene,
there.
clearly. I am still not convinced it really matters that much, like who is it or whatever, but nonetheless, they're giving us clues of how we're heading there, I think. And obviously there's another thing with the pit later, so we'll get to that later. All right. So in the next scene, Shauna passes by Cody and Hannah in the pen and walks back to the camp. And some of the others are whispering about Shauna, and Shauna looks at them. And then we cut to a meeting with Shauna, Melissa, Ty, Van, and Misty. TVM. That's who's in the present day. That's weird. Anyway, Shauna says that the others are up to something. I think just meaning the ones not at this meeting right now. Um, Ty says that we have the gun, and Misty points out that she gets kicked out of meetings because she's annoying and suggests that they use that to get intel. Ty thinks it's a good idea, and Shauna says, do it. And obviously that will turn into a very tiny thing later. It's not really as significant as you might think, but it
No.
does it does something happens with it.
Something
So
does
we'll go
happen.
back to that. But yeah, the factions are forming. We
The
have
f-
others. We have others. I'm just
I'm
saying.
shaking my head.
I'm just saying.
Just don't.
All right. So back to the present.
Back to the
Okay.
present.
Shauna is washing up blood or something. I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
Yeah.
She's got latex gloves on, and like she's like, it's like she's washing her gloves. I'm just like,
It's like she's cleaning up the blood, but she's got it all over her face.
yeah, and but it's like she's just got gloves in the sink. So I'm like, what are you cleaning? Like she wasn't wearing gloves when she did the stuff. So I'm like, so you put gloves on and then what? Like I don't,
Yeah,
it
I
just
don't
doesn't
know.
make sense to me what happened here.
Yeah, I didn't watch it that closely, I'm gonna be honest.
It's fine. I just could not make any sense of what she's
Yeah,
doing.
it's funny though because it's a very, in my mind, it's a very old-fashioned idea to put on latex gloves and wash kitchen,
Yeah.
like wash
It seems like she's
dishes.
doing the dishes, but
Yeah.
she's not actually. There's no dishes in there. There's nothing in there. So it's just like I'm washing these gloves that have blood on them because I just put them on and then touch myself. Like I don't know
Maybe
what happened.
is she washing the glasses that they were drinking out of?
Oh, maybe. I mean, I didn't see those, but I guess it could be that. I guess it could be that. Like
To try
hiding
to,
evidence.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That I mean that adds up. I'll buy that. Let's say it's that until they tell us otherwise. Okay. She hears a noise, grabs the knife, but it's Van, etc. TVMM. Shauna is trying to explain what happened, sees Melissa, finds out what happened. Shauna wants to tie up Mel. Ty says, "Can we take a minute here?" Shauna says she sent the tape, so she killed Lottie. But Misty says, "Not so fast, Martha Misdirect."
I love that.
Which is a great line.
Yeah.
That's why I had to quote it. Pointing out the DNA and the fact that she was in the city that day, taking out the receipt to prove it. Van asks what she was doing there. Shauna explains about the cat. Misty says, "Sit down, y'all. Wow, what a totally satisfying answer." Such a meta moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Van asks for more details about the cat and gets them. Like Sean explains more about like why she went to get the cat. We all remember what happened, so it's just sharing stuff. Um, Misty is skeptical. Shauna says she sent the tape, so she left the phone, cut the brakes, and locked her in the freezer. Misty says, "For the love of God, the freezer was me." Okay.
Slow clap.
The lock's been broken for months. I would have warned you, but you've been such an asshole, absolute asshole, that I thought a little time in the freezer would do you some good.
Yeah. It's not clear that it did do her any
I don't think
good,
it did.
but I can
Actually,
understand her position.
if anything, it made her more unhinged. So I think it backfired. But anyway, Ty tries to refocus. Misty asks if Ty will take Shauna's side. Mel says, "Of course she is." Because, yeah, we're just back to like the shit from the teen
It's high
timeline
school
in that
again.
one specific period when they were
Yeah.
like on the same side. Like, okay, whatever. Ty says it's not about sides. She doesn't think Shauna killed Lottie, and says that they need to mitigate the situation. Misty says this is Shauna's mess, leaving, saying she'll get to the bottom of all this. So
Yeah. It's
that's
nice to see her
standing up for
stand up for
herself.
herself a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and also the fact that yeah like she didn't just take Shauna's shit forever. Like there was a point where she was like, and it was actually earlier in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was probably after the break thing,
Mm-hmm.
where she's like, oh, fuck Shauna, like
Yeah.
ugh. And so it's like so I take so it's this is so funny. I should have predicted the show would do some shit like this, like have Shauna just be unhinged, hurling accusations, blaming Misty for everything. It becomes a joke. It's a meme.
Uh-huh.
And then to turn around and tell us, well, actually,
That one thing I did.
actually, like Misty had something to do. Now, from what she says, my impression isn't that she like slammed her in there,
Yeah.
but that she
That she
just
just didn't tell her about
failed to
Yeah.
inform her that the door was
Yeah.
get stuck. So
Yeah, that's my interpretation as
the
well.
lock's been broken for months. I would
Mhm.
have warned you. So I think that's yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that's the point. So she really was gone for hours. Like the front desk wasn't saying that. It's just like she failed to say anything before she left.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, it's funny that we get an answer about that, and it is Misty. So which means it has like nothing to do with the tape. It's got nothing to do with Lottie's death. I think. I mean, I don't see Misty investigating if she's the one who did the murder.
Yeah.
Like that makes no sense. So anyway, there's an answer for you. Yeah, this like wow, what a totally satisfying answer.
It's delivered so
It's like it's like such a oh man, such a this show thing. Okay. And then yeah, the cleanup stuff, the DNA, yeah, we'll come back to all that. So I think that's all I got for now. Are you ready to move forward?
sure.
Okay, so next scene, we're back to the past. Travis tells Lottie that he was in the woods and he felt something. And he asks Lottie to come with him, and she agrees. And we'll come back
What
to
could
that.
possibly go wrong?
Um, Mari, Nat, Gin, and Melissa talk about what they're going to do, saying they don't want to spend another winter out there or miss a chance to go home. Well, why didn't you fucking do it then? All right, sorry, that's me.
Mhm.
Um, Gen says we can steal the gun back. Nat says that Shauna is watching it closely. Akila asks if she would actually use it. Mari says she's too chicken shit.
Oh boy.
Nat's not sure about that. I'm not either. And says that she thinks there's another way. All right, so these are our little others meeting.
Giving us a little setup.
Yeah, we will we'll come back to that. All right, so we go back to the present. Callie rolls a joint. Jeff is happy and comes in seeing the weed. Jeff says Joel's offered him the job. Everything's coming up, Jeff.
I love the way you recounted that. It makes it sound like Jeff is happy to see the pot and like in his elation is like, this is great. My day is getting even better.
Yeah, I don't know if it works out that way in the end. Jeff looks at the weed and says to grind up the nugs more.
Dad, no one says nugs anymore. What a Gen X.
Yeah, classic. But we will come back to that. I want to talk about Callie, but I'm going to talk about it later.
Do you want to talk about how she killed Lottie?
I have my doubts, but I will express those later. Okay. Next scene, Misty is dropped off by a field by someone named Dave with an Etsy for like what was it? Ornament
A custom aquarium.
aquarium ornaments.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like weird. Like, is this like a murderino? Like, or is this like just some random like Uber driver who was like
Yeah,
talking her ear off? I wasn't really clear
it was
on
an
that.
Uber driver who was
Okay.
her off.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right, that makes sense. Okay, a helicopter lands. It's Walter. They get in the helicopter.
I love this. Like, what do you think? It's excessive. I thought you might think it was excessive.
Yeah, I mean,
Walter is just a fun. The two of them, I love the scenes with the two of them.
yeah. They definitely have like a thing. Like, yeah, I there's a logic to this. Like, they're over in Pennsylvania. Like, this is a way to like get us kind of moving more quickly and to just use like Walter's backstory and the fact that he's wealthy. Like, he can just like fly. He does say the helicopter's not his for what it's worth. So he borrowed it from somebody. There's a bunch of incidental stuff that I
it's
took out
funny
here.
specifies who he borrowed it from.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, why would that matter? But I don't know. If we come back next week
What if it matters?
and like that guy is the one who killed Lottie, I'm gonna feel really stupid.
Yeah.
Dave
Same.
Billy McFadden, or I forget what he said.
Dave
Anyway,
Billy?
Dave
Dave
Billy.
Billy?
It's classic
I
Dave
just think
Billy.
Dave Billy was a murderer.
Oh, Dave Billy. Anyway, all right, we will come back to both of those things. Okay, so go back to the past. Misty observes the others. Misty goes to Gen and Aquila. She has a bucket of water. I was a bit confused by this, so maybe you can help me with this. Or maybe I figured it out later. I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Here's what happens. She goes over, she has a bucket of water. Gen says, "We have dinner covered." And Misty says, we'll need nourishment later, so we're prepared. Aquila says, prepared for what? And Misty says, you know. Aquila says, we don't actually. And then Mari joins. Misty says she thought they were a part of. Oh, that's right. Now I get it. Sorry, I forgot again and then I remembered again. Okay, Misty says she thought they were part of, quote, the plan. Um, Mari says, we saw you in that meeting with Team Crazy. Misty says, fine, but if you change your mind, come find me. Gen wonders if she knows something. Aquila says no. In the camp, Misty sees Van leaving and follows. Van grabs some stuff like wires and shit from the plane, and then Misty sees Van uncover the sat phone from under a tree and fiddle around with it and the wires, like trying to repair the sat phone. Basically, is what Van's doing,
Yeah, yeah.
which makes sense.
We're gonna echo this scene later.
Yes. Yeah, this is actually potentially a very significant element here.
Yeah.
This actually could lead to rescue potentially. I don't think it's out of the question that this is a path forward.
Yeah.
Though obviously they're not getting rescued really soon, but still, someday they will. Okay, yeah. So I think it's just the first part I'm confused, right? So she comes over with a bucket of water, and Gin says we have dinner covered, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what? Why do
I
what
mean,
does
that's
that mean?
like they already have the water they need for dinner.
Oh, the water for dinner. That's the
Yeah.
idea. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
maybe they're making like a rabbit stew or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. And then she's talking about nourishment. I'm like, it's a bucket of water. So I'm just like, I
Well,
just got like, the point is she's trying to insinuate
yeah,
like we
yeah.
got to make it for like the getaway plan.
Yes.
Prepare like for the road, for the hike or whatever.
Yes.
Like that's the general point, but the initial lines here are confusing to me. So if anyone can help, please, I
No
don't
one
know.
can help.
Let me know. Jackie jockeys or whatever. I need to know like what were they talking about here at the beginning? Like just spell out the subtext for me because I'm missing it. But
Um,
obviously the other stuff is probably more significant.
yeah.
um
Yeah.
I appreciate actually Misty's reaction to this because she could have done other things that would have been worse. So anyway,
Yeah.
I got to give
Yeah.
Misty a few points. She lost a few points in the last few weeks. She got a few
Hmm.
back this week. We'll see how it goes. It's always up and down with Misty.
Yep.
Okay. So back to the present. They tie up Melissa. Ty wonders what to do. Mel says that Shauna's the problem. Van thinks that could be true. They bring up Adam and what happened with him. Shauna says, why did you say that? Saying now they have to
Oh, yeah.
kill Mel as she reacts to it.
Yeah.
Mel recites the idea of like, she basically just guesses more or less the vague what happened with Adam. Um, and guesses that Shauna was wrong then too. Hmm. Was she, Melissa?
Yeah.
Was she? Well, she was wrong then. You're right. But
Yeah.
Melissa, I
Yeah.
noticed how you were sneaking that in there, trying to like say
Yeah,
like
yeah. The line was delivered like that. Oh, but you were wrong then. Two. Then two.
two, two, as in you're wrong about me,
Yeah.
right?
We
Like I
ain't wrong
just
about you, Melissa. There's something up.
there's something sneaky here. And so again, like I said, I'm like very attentive to every little weird thing she says. So I was just like, okay, like she like on the surface, she's right about that situation, but it's like Are they? I don't know. They've really got me on a seesaw here, where it's like Shauna's wrong about everything. Oh, never mind. Shauna was right about the freezer, actually. And then it's like, oh, could she actually be right about Melissa, or is that too much? She was
But
allowed
she
to.
wasn't really right about the freezer.
She blamed Misty
I
initially.
know, but she wasn't right about the freezer because no one tried to lock her in it.
Well, okay.
No one was trying to kill her by barricading her in the freezer. The freezer's lock was broken.
There was a correct element to her initial accusation.
Barely.
Okay, fair enough. But still, more than we thought. Okay.
More than you thought.
And okay,
I don't know
more than I
why. I don't
thought.
know why
I'll,
I
I'll
said
take
that.
that. That's fine. But yeah, like, so it's just like, it's like, are they going for, maybe not she's right about Melissa, but like Melissa's making herself out to be more innocent than she really is. You know?
Melissa's not innocent. Melissa is sus.
Yeah,
We just don't know the story yet.
yeah,
But
yeah.
nobody left that phone. That was a coincidence. I'm standing by that.
You know, I think the phone's back in play now that
I
we
know
got
you think
now
that.
that we got
I
sneaky
know you
ass
think that.
Melissa. All
Well,
right.
we do have sneaky ass Melissa.
I'm still annoyed about the call back to the
I
bar,
I know.
I feel like there's
But if the call back to the bar, I mean, I feel like that should have been, if that was going to be a thing, it should have been mentioned by now.
I agree 100%, and I'll be annoyed, but I just think like so I feel like with the breaks, we got an answer.
Yes.
Right? She just didn't accept it.
Yes.
The freezer didn't really have an answer, but now we do.
Yes.
And then I feel like we should get some follow up on the phone. And so I just want to hold some space for that. We'll see.
Ugh,
Sorry, I had to say
I
it.
hate that phrase.
I hate it too, but it was the thing that came to mind, and I couldn't stop myself or think of
Yeah.
anything better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Allow for the possibility.
I admit the possibility. All right. Shauna deflects by explaining Mel's deception with Alex,
Yeah.
all that. They react to her marrying Hannah's
Deflecting
kid.
Diana.
Yeah, I know. It's like she's deflecting, but she ain't wrong. Like, this is true. She did this, and like, yeah, this is fucking weird. All right. And I did at least know that in the last episode. Like, I believed her sort of line that she got like pulled in and like couldn't bring herself to admit the truth. Like, that seems plausible to me, but now I'm not so sure. Anyway, then they go to the kitchen to talk about it, leaving Mel by the fireplace. Van goes to the car feeling woozy to get the oxygen, which will come in very handy later. And Mel closes the flue, and we'll come back to that. Okay. So, oh yeah, I guess it is notable that like technically if Mel wants, like she probably knows enough to find out about Adam Martin. Like I bet that she could actually do some googling and figure out who that was and realize that was
Yeah.
actually Shauna.
Yeah.
And like is she gonna get in contact with like Matt? Like I seriously doubt it. But
Let's
like
hope not.
but like he hasn't appeared this season, and there was a setup in the last season. So I'm just trying to figure out because he was the one who like supposedly like found out that Kevin Tan did it, which is fucking ridiculous. But anyway, like that was the claim. So I'm just saying, whatever. None of that may matter, but just because they bring up the fact that it's a threat, and because of the way Melissa leaves things, obviously it's not out of the question that she would do that. The main reason why I don't think she's going to do that is I just don't think the show's going to go back to the well of the police are after Shauna for Adam Martin. Like they did that for a whole last season.
Yeah.
Shows don't like to repeat themselves. I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, just wanted to say that. Okay, and then yeah, obviously the flu. Here we fucking go. You ready for the next scene?
Yeah.
Okay, so we go back to the past. Hannah and Melissa play hangman. Mel asks about the real world, but Hannah has no idea, saying,
Meaning the TV show The Real World.
Yeah, sorry. The real
Which
world
also
TV
seems
show.
cheeky.
The MTV show. It is. Yeah. Hannah doesn't know, but she says it's mostly Nickelodeon at home these days on account of my daughter. And Hannah says, I miss her so much. I do, Melissa. You gotta believe me.
Why?
I wouldn't
Why?
lie to you, Melissa. I never lie to no one named Melissa.
Oh
All
my
right,
god, the
sorry.
voice.
Sorry. Melissa is surprised by this, and they have a vague talk about the future. Hannah calls it uh, the situation they're in, like the most fascinating study of survival I've ever witnessed. Shauna shows up with that face.
Yeah.
You know that
I know
face.
the
Some
face.
podcasts called it a sucking on lemons
Yeah,
face.
that's yeah, it's getting
Because it really is like she's
aggressive disdain.
yeah, that's what it is. Melissa follows her. Shauna wonders what they were giggling about, saying that Hannah is using Mel to escape. Mel says that she has a kid back home, but Shauna doesn't buy it. Mel feels bad. Shauna thinks she's being stupid. Mel leaves. Shauna follows, saying, no one gave a shit about you until me. And then Mel turns around and says, why can't you just be a nice person?
Yeah, the question we've all been asking ourselves.
I know, all season.
Yeah.
Shauna says, you're nothing. And Mel tells everyone else that Shauna is fucking nuts. Shauna points the gun at her, proving her right, and says, say that again. Van and Ty tell her to put the gun down. Mel says, I dare you. Shauna shoots, but it just grazes Mel's shoulder, like her sleeve, I guess. I don't think it actually did
Yeah.
damage. But it freaks her out. Shauna walks away satisfied, and Van covers Mel as she peed herself. I think that's what happened. It
Yeah.
was a little hard for me to tell, but
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah. She
gesture
peed herself.
suggested that's what happened. They didn't show it the way I'm used
They do
to.
the pan down. They do like a quick shot.
Yeah, it was just like the jeans were already like a little like faded, and
Yeah,
so it was
they've
like
been living out there for over a year.
it was like normally what I'm used to. If you want to show someone pee themselves, they show like the water sort of forming on the leg, like that's
Yeah, they did that a little bit, but it was subtle.
or like dripping out the butt. Yeah, it was just it was more anyway. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But you don't need to know what was going on in my head when I saw this. But anyway, that's what happened. Okay, so bippity bop here. So I have a few comments. Yeah, so it was stated. I went for the quote because I was like I couldn't remember exactly what they said, but I was like I don't like Hannah is actually she has a daughter, but she's lying that she's at home, right? That part is false. In episode 7, it was stated the daughter never even had her mother's name. Like saying basically suggesting she was given up for adoption. So
Huh.
anyway, like that part is not true. She was it was a teenage pregnancy, and so I think that's what happened. She gave a baby up, but she never knew her, and that's why she left the message because it
She
was like,
never knew her?
yeah, she never knew her. That's what they
Mm,
say.
okay.
That's what they say.
Huh.
I can get you more context around that quote if you want. Um,
That's all right.
it's from episode 7. But yeah, they basically make it clear that yeah
So she kind of is lying.
they never yeah she's not lying that she has a daughter, but she is lying
But
that
the
she's
daughter,
back at
yeah.
home. She's lying about Nickelodeon and all that. She's trying to get sympathy. Like
Oh,
Shauna's
you think she's just
partially
watching Nickelodeon on her own?
it's possible. But so like Shauna's partially right. Like I do think it's kind of manipulation, which is interesting to have there, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a little step in a direction for Hannah that she's going to kind of continue later, I think. Like it
Mm,
shows there's some darkness in there.
yeah.
um and um what else was I gonna say? Yeah, so and then in this like conversation, like um so it's I mean, Melissa must have learned eventually that that was a lie, right? Because she knows Alex, right? So she could easily know her
Yeah,
backstory,
that's true.
right? And so
Yeah.
like there's a chance that adult Melissa actually knows that that she was being lied to, that it was manipulation after she did. I just think, given where we end things, it makes me call into question like what exactly happened there after she got back,
Mhm.
after she met Alex. You know,
Yeah.
what's her game? You know, like it makes me think there's something there. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm making a lot out of nothing, but it's just an interesting point, I think. Um,
Yeah.
I am annoyed that Shauna never mentioned like actually hearing this directly back in the day, but maybe we're supposed to believe she forgot. I don't know. That's always the easy solution when it's been 25 years. Like if you ask me to tell you something that somebody said to me 25 years ago, like there's a decent chance I wouldn't remember, to be fair.
Yeah.
Even though their situation is heightened and so on, but yeah, like I don't know. I'm gonna complain about Shauna not saying certain things later, but this one I don't really feel the need to complain about. Um, and then the other thing I was gonna say is like I think this is interesting that like we have this standoff between Shauna and Melissa, and obviously like Shauna is the asshole in this scene, and
In every
Melissa's
scene.
and yeah, well, fair enough. But then like Melissa's like, why can't you just be a nice person? Which like is satisfying. Is satisfying
Yeah.
to have someone like
Yeah.
say it out loud because it's like it's been like a whispered thing in the background of the whole season,
Yeah.
and it's valid. But it's interesting to juxtapose that with what Melissa's gonna do in this episode,
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's like it makes me wonder what the turning point was for her, because like there's mixed signals here, you know? Like I'm thinking why can't you be a nice person like even within this season, right? Like earlier there were those scenes with Shauna where she's like I love that you embrace the darkness inside you, or I forget how she
Yeah.
phrased it.
Yeah.
You
She's
know what I
still in an
mean?
about phase.
You're not afraid of your bad side or
Uh-huh.
whatever, right? And
Yeah,
like,
it's like she pushes her.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like cut, Ben's Achilles to like show your dark side, right? And now it's like, why can't you be a night, So I don't know, like in my head, the thing with Hannah, like I thought it was going to be more gradual.
Yeah, it seems like it's not.
It really seems like it's not. And I thought she was gradually gonna like turn her sympathies and like make her see Shauna a different way. But
Yeah.
it's sort of like she was already on that path just from like Shauna don't leave me. And this is just like further solidifying it, So
Yeah.
it's just like I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know. It's maybe one of those things that it's worth reminding ourselves that they're just teenage girls.
yeah. That I mean
It's
that is a thing, but much like with Harry Potter, I still get annoyed by it even when it's like
yeah.
plausible
Well,
behavior, perhaps.
yeah,
Um,
well,
because teenagers can be frustrated,
wow. I don't think
you
anyone's
know,
ever said that.
just
It's
like
wow, what a surprising
work on your
sentiment.
occlumency. God damn it.
Oh
All
no.
right, sorry. Sorry, I
Oh
had to say
my
it.
God.
Okay. Um, yeah. Did I want to say something else about this? I think not. Uh yeah, we get a nice moment for Van. Oh, that's the other thing I was gonna say. The fact that Van steps in to be nice
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
and then like Melissa just gonna fucking murder her at the end. And it's just like
Yeah, I think they knew they were gonna do that.
I 100% think they knew they were gonna do that. It's just it's I don't know, it's an interesting contrast that may or may not
Yeah.
go anywhere, but like I just it's further adding to my intrigue of where Melissa's hostility is coming from,
Yeah.
because I feel like we haven't really been told yet because I don't think she's been fully honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So something's up there. All right.
Yeah, I mean, as I said off podcast, I can't wait for next week's episode, the season finale, to essentially be the other 48 days, but with Melissa. I
Yeah,
hate
yeah.
it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to watch
I
it.
don't think it'll be that
I
just
know.
because of the cast stuff, but could they give us some Melissa flashbacks for sure? And I think there's a decent chance we get that. And I'm okay with that if it's interesting. Okay, you ready to continue?
I'm
All
ready.
right, so Lottie asks Travis what's wrong. They're by the pit. Lottie says that she can help. Travis says that she's bullshit and they have a chance at rescue and she's ruining it for all of them. He can't let her do this. Lottie says she's sorry. She just wanted him to see that, quote, Javi's with us. She wanted him to feel it too. And then the wind blows. And then Lottie walks over the pit, but does not fall in. Travis reacts, and Lottie walks off the pit. In our most Lindelof scene of the episode.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's like it's double Lindelof because it's Lindelofy whether or not the wind means anything.
yeah,
And it's I mean, it is creepy and unusual, but maybe it's just like frog flatulation. Flatulence.
oh,
Um,
oh,
and then of course it's Lindelof, like whether there's something supernatural in the fact that she walked to the direction of where we assume the pit covering to be
yep,
and doesn't fall in.
yep,
He obviously expected her to,
yep,
was trying to affect that.
yep,
But we don't know, he doesn't then like toss a log onto this one to
yep,
see um if maybe he just did a better job of covering it, or I don't know, or maybe she just didn't get close enough,
yeah.
or maybe she is truly got some power.
JP, cover your ears. So like what this makes me think of is one of the classic lines from Lost, which is did the gun not go off or did the bullet bounce off your head? And it's like, I don't know, Tom. How about the one that actually sounds plausible?
You complain about that every 3 months.
it's it's just it's a perfect illustration of the Lindelof shuffle. Like it's a way to get the like incept an idea in the
Inceptor.
audience's mind, but to also leave yourself an out for like
Maybe his
possible
gun's just
deniability,
jammed.
right? You want the audience to think, could the bullet have bounced off his head? But you also want the reality that, yeah, but the gun didn't go off. That's what actually happened. And guns don't go off sometimes.
Yeah.
That's totally
Yeah.
possible. Right. So, like, I'm just thinking, like, were the sticks just packed too tight?
Yeah.
Or did Lottie fucking levitate?
Yeah.
I think you know what I think.
Yeah.
It's the same, to me, it's the same kind of issue here. Like they showed him testing it, but obviously because the way he tested it, the version that he tested is not this version.
Yeah. That's why
So
he needs to toss another log on it when she walks away.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
that's
yeah.
obviously not gonna
Right,
happen
because that would be
because they
too.
just want the mystery.
They want to let the
Be.
mystery be
Yeah.
for sure.
Because I mean, there are other shows that are not at all, suggesting something supernatural where they just have the trick not work. Either she doesn't, like she doesn't walk close enough
Yeah,
to it, and then we're left to wonder whether she knows that it's a trap
yeah,
or it's just a
yeah,
coincidence.
yeah. Um, I don't know what this like hobbies with us thing was about. I,
Yeah.
I don't know where to even go with that, but I just want to mention it because I thought it was a weird thing to throw out there in the middle of this.
Yeah.
Um, and then I guess she's saying like the mushroom tea, like that was the reason for that. Like I guess
To feel Javi's spirit.
yeah, something like that, and it's like, well, you didn't say that until now, but okay. So the other thing that's like, okay. So, like, Travis is like, you're ruining this for all of us. But I'm here going,
She's not the one who said
it wasn't Lottie who
stay.
stepped up and said,
Yeah,
no, you can't leave because I said so.
absolutely.
Right? Like, she said she was staying. She didn't say you all are staying too. So
Yeah.
I just feel like Travis is wrong to blame Lottie for that.
Yeah, I mean, he already had an axe to grind.
Indeed. Yeah. It feels like it's picking up from that place. But it's like, Yeah, it's like they want, I don't know. They want this to fit. I feel like it's a little bit of a bad fit, but okay, whatever. He's got his reasons. I do think it's crazy that like the implication here is he's about to murder Lottie.
Yep.
Like that's actually what he intended to do.
Yep.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. And speaking of flip-floppers, like this is Travis who later on
Uh-huh.
in his moment of crisis is
Yeah.
gonna call Lottie to help him.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, okay, so you brought up the idea that like maybe seeing her not fall in the pit like somehow flips him back,
Yeah.
where he's like, oh shit, maybe she's not bullshit, maybe she can levitate or something. And I'm like, get more evidence than that. But anyway, maybe he tells himself that and like he goes back out on the Lottie train after this. We'll see, but I think they kind of owe us that, because if they're going to tell us that he does that later as an adult, the place he is now, where he's about to murder Lottie,
Yeah.
makes no sense with that. So anyway, I'm just saying, like, there's a gap there.
There's a gap there, but I mean, we have 25 years.
Yeah, true. Though, I mean, I think from what we were told, like most of
Okay,
that,
fine. We have many years.
I think from what we're told, most of that 25 years, he was not in contact with Lottie. So, like, I feel like most of what turned him should happen in the wilderness. That's the point I'm trying to make. Um, like, let's just say they didn't tell us when they did that reveal that like they had a ton of interaction um in the in between time.
Yeah.
Um, so so anyway, weird scene. But that's where we're leaving things with that. Um, ready for the next?
Ready.
Okay. Mari marches Hannah into the woods to quote pee, but Nat comes out with a knife asking for her help. She offers the knife, saying, when they're sleeping, cut herself and Cody free so they can run. Okay, that's the plan. We'll come back to that later. All right, back to the present. Yeah, this is where I want to talk about it, right? This is where it is. Okay, Callie and Jeff are sharing the joint. Jeff says, "Let's celebrate my new job and go to a fancy place." Callie says, "Mom would kill us if we spent that much," and Jeff says, "Yeah." Callie asks about what Jeff said to the Joels about mom. Jeff says it's just something he said. Kelly asks if he's sure, and she says it's okay to feel that way. She does. Jeff breaks down and says it's hard being married, and with Shauna, it's lonely. So lonely. Very sad scene for Jeff.
Yes.
So like and like with Jeff, I feel like now I know he did the blackmail and all that, so he is technically capable of deception, but I really feel like with Jeff, like he's usually pretty upfront about where he's coming from, and like I believe this completely.
Yeah.
I don't have any hesitation about this. um I in the middle of this scene, I was really waiting when Callie like has this pause. I was waiting for her to come out with, there was a note with that tape, the thing Melissa talked about, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about the note. Like, did Melissa lie about the note and there weren't no note at all? The other thing that's like giving me pause about the note is it hasn't been meant, like Shauna never brought it up
Yeah.
again. And I just find that weird. Like, is it a contrivance and like suddenly in the last episode she's gonna remember the note and we're just gonna like move from there? Like it could be that. Or is it like some weird detail they're just going to forget about? Like, I don't know. There's just something strange going on there, because I feel like Shauna's attentive and smart enough to be like, Callie didn't ever mention a no. What is she up to? She knows her DNA was under Lottie's fingernails, right? Like, I
Yeah.
just feel like there's enough there to be like suspicious of Callie, not to mention the other stuff that Callie's done this season, And so it's strange to me that there just hasn't really been any acknowledgement that that's a thing at this point,
Yeah.
and it's just bugging me. Okay, and then the other thing I want to say about Callie is like, I'm thinking through your theory, right? That Callie did it, right? Callie killed Lottie. Let's say she did, okay? So, like last week, I brought up my hesitation, which was my initial one, which was Shauna comes home and says Callie's been murdered or Lottie's been murdered. Callie has a reaction to give her the tape,
Yeah.
right? Thinking, oh shit, like the implication is, oh shit, someone's after the Yellowjackets.
Yeah.
Maybe they're after you. I need to give you this tape. Maybe that's what this is connected to.
Yeah.
We don't know for a fact that it's not at this point. Well, everything's up for grabs with Melissa. I don't necessarily think she killed Lottie, but it's absolutely possible after what happened in this episode. Anyway, right. So then um I also mentioned if there was a note in there that she read, which we were never shown, but nonetheless, if there's a note in there that she read, then it would have to be that she gathered from the note that um like what was on the tape and that if she didn't give the note, then it would seem like a threat. But like because Melissa's claim was if you read the note, it wouldn't seem like a threat, you know. And so because it's like I don't think Callie knew what was on the tape. So like if
Right.
she doesn't know what's on the tape, then how could she know how they're going to take it when they listen to the tape? You know what I mean? It doesn't add up for me. So that's why I was like, then it would have to be that the note explains what the tape is, which is not impossible, but then there's the Googling. And I'm like, if the note explained what the tape was, then why is she like listening to them listen to it on the phone and then Googling? Because like it seemed like that's how she found out what was on the tape, not from the note. So anyway, I don't know if this is all much ado about nothing,
I
but like
suspect that it is. Yeah. I think it's just going to be one of those instances where they write each of these scenes in the way that gets the most drama out of it without being,
having them fit together
yeah,
as a coherent whole. So I'm just saying, if Callie did it, that thing doesn't add up.
fine.
That's all. Um. But I'm still on the Lottie committed suicide train, or had someone help her, or whatever. That's my baseline theory for what happened. Ty might have helped. Other bad one. Maybe Melissa helped for all I know. Maybe they all three were there. But anyway, I think that now means that there are what is that? Uh, Something like uh, oh man, math is hard. What is that? Six. So two.
Oh my goodness.
So three plus three. Yeah, I think there's like six possible. No, seven possible theories at this point.
Well,
Any one of them individually, pairs of them, or all three.
okay.
Okay, so that's my.
All right, noted.
I think it's one of those things, but I still am not quite convinced that it's murder. Um, but I also wonder where the Jeff thing's going. Because I feel like he's like almost been in this place before.
Yeah.
And like last season when he had that crazy dream, then they just go to the camp and like help out. So it's like I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
I wonder where they're trying to take that. It's not obvious because if Callie isn't implicated in Lottie, like they're gonna do something, right? Something's happening here. Because they've been paying too much attention to it for me to believe it's not somehow gonna be incorporated in the end game for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So are you ready to continue? Okay. So back to the past. It's night. Shauna is not asleep. Mel goes to Gen's tent saying, fuck Shauna, she wants in. Misty has a piece of broken sat phone, I think. So the implication is that she went she saw that Van was hiding a sat phone. She went there to see what it was. She saw what was broken. She's like, basically, she's doing a Saeed. She's figuring out how to repair the sat phone. That's
Mm-hmm.
basically what's happening. Thinking, what resources do I have?
Yeah.
That could be used for communication.
Hmm.
That's the implication. All right, we'll come back to that. Cody tells Hannah to cut her loose. Hannah finally asks about Eric Chong, and he says he got his stuff at a thrift store, but we gotta go. And he mentions her kid. Like, don't you want to get home to your kid? Come on. Like, I
Mhm.
guess he believes that. I don't know. I don't think he
Yeah.
necessarily knows one way or the other. So, uh, Hannah gets out the knife. Shauna sits up in the tent. Cody and Hannah now have the ropes off and are about to leave when Shauna stops them with the gun, asking who gave them the knife. Hannah says it was Cody, and he calls her a lying fucking cunt. And then Hannah stabs Cody in the eye, pulling
It's
out the knife and asking Shauna to, quote, be a part of this. Mel and Ken and Mystery react.
yeah.
It's a wild moment for old Hannah. I did
It
not expect this at
is.
all.
It is.
Um, it's funny because I mean, I'm not out here calling people c words all the time, but like she was lying. She totally threw Cody under the bus. Now maybe we're supposed to think that she has her suspicions, but they really aren't concrete. Like his answer is not impossible, and he dies here. There's no chance. I mean, like how are we ever gonna learn one way or the other?
Yeah.
So are we supposed to think that flimsy, like she thought that answer was inadequate enough to like kill his ass, or is it down to she's just trying to survive here and like she thinks it's kind of like when they catch Travis and Aquila and like he points the gun at Cody going like, yeah, come back with us, like where
Yeah.
it's like the
I think it's
only
just
the
survival.
only way
Yeah.
to survive here is to join them, and to prove I'm loyal, I'll stab my fucking guy in the eye.
Yeah.
Like, is that the point? I don't know.
Yeah, I wondered if it were related back to her line about, from a whatever she says, like from a research
Oh yeah,
standpoint, this is such a fascinating example of survival.
yeah.
If she's like naive enough to think like, oh man, this is my next article. I'm really gonna get tenure from this.
That would be crazy if she did a murder
She
for
didn't.
tenure.
Many have.
That's part of it, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's got to do one
I
murder.
was told that's what my tenure
That's the
review
committee
board
like
told
asked
me.
for. Like,
Yeah. It
who's your
said kill this guy's wife.
who's your murder
What?
then?
Yeah. Uh, no, I mean it's. I think it fits in a pattern of all these other things of like, man, everybody's so afraid of unhinged Shauna
Yeah,
that they just do whatever they think is going to keep her from killing them.
yeah.
But on the other hand, that like this is such a fascinating example of
Hmm.
survival. Like she might be naive enough to think. I mean, there's that line that Cody has in the earlier episode when they're trying to run away that she doesn't
Yeah,
understand how
yeah,
dangerous the place
yeah.
is, the situation is. And I think it might be that.
They have already stated twice that uh they killed Hannah.
Yeah.
So like it's not going to end well. That's, I think, canonical at this point.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it could totally be true that she's just like in over her head and she'll realize that eventually before she is
Yeah.
killed. But
Right as the knife is coming to her eye.
it definitely opens up the door for her to participate in a draw and
Yep.
potentially be the pig girl. Like that's not
Yeah, she's got
impossible.
the hair for
The
it.
hair is totally right. So, and people called that when she showed up. So
Yeah.
this makes that path like clearer, I think.
Hmm.
Um okay. Ready to continue? All
Yeah.
right, so we go back to the present. Walter brings a chocolate martini to Misty. Misty wonders if they were wrong about Shauna. Walter mentions the DNA, but Misty says that she checked out the cat story and it was true. Walter says the cat could have been in the car. Misty thinks that they shouldn't rely only on the DNA. Misty thinks that they're missing something. Walter tries to gently suggest that Misty is not good at judging the Yellowjackets. Misty agrees and then asks about Lottie's phone that he cloned. The clone phone. He gets up to get it and comes
I'm
back.
shaking my head
I
this
know.
whole
I
thing.
know. He comes back with the phone, and then Misty asks about chocolate shavings that are missing from the martini. Walter goes to get them, and as he does, Misty grabs the phone and then sees something and has a very strong reaction. Walter comes back with the martini, but Misty is gone.
Yeah, I want the internet to do a CSI on this and like zoom in on her glasses to see a reflection of what
Someone
she's
probably
seeing on
did
the
that.
phone.
Walter sips the martini and walks inside.
Poor Walter.
I know, right? It's like
That martini looks awful.
I feel like he really didn't. I mean, maybe he was a little too pushy, but like overall, it's like he's been pretty right. And he also in this scene shows that he did hear, okay, you don't want me to like berate your friends or whatever.
Yeah.
I get it, So it's like, and then she's immediately pivots to like manipulating.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she's taking advantage of him the whole time.
Totally, totally. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm a very strong believer in, not zooming in on things. Obviously, I
Yeah,
want to know what she saw. I think we're gonna
we
have to
all do.
find out in the
Yeah,
next episode.
yeah,
Um, but I will say, by the fact that she leaves immediately, I think it's pretty clear it wasn't Walter. Not that I really thought it was Walter, but
yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
think.
that theory's always been hovering at the
Yeah,
background of, what if Walter did it?
yeah, yeah. It has. And it was technically possible, but it felt wrong to me. And it just feels wrong to me. I just don't see Misty being afraid of Walter. Even if he did kill Lottie, I see her confronting
Confronting him.
him
Yeah,
if she thinks he actually
yeah,
killed Lottie. So like the fact that she leaves suggests to me that's not what she saw
yeah,
there. So the other thing is like I think it's interesting that she's like downplaying the DNA. It makes me think that the answer won't hinge on the DNA. And like maybe it'll just like not even matter. They'll just be like, well, yeah, she got it from the house or some shit. But like that also makes me think they're not going Callie here. That's I don't know. That's how it reads to me since she's like downplaying the DNA. Because I'm going like, yeah, okay, you don't have to like solely rely on the DNA, but like, doesn't the DNA need to be explained still though? Like, you know, like,
yeah. I don't love but she was at my house. Like,
yeah,
was she like, I don't know, like
she was like
scratching your
running her
skin? Like,
fingers through Shauna's hairbrush,
was she sticking her fingers in your throat? Like,
Yeah. Right, exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I
how
mean,
much D I guess the quite like how much DNA was
it's
this?
not a great answer. It's just like
Like a grapefruit sized chunk of DNA or like a hair follicle?
it the way it's written is weird and it makes it seem like this picture thing has nothing to do with the DNA and it also makes me think that the picture is sending her in a different direction,
Yeah.
which again makes me think it wasn't Shauna
Yeah.
or Callie because like Callie would actually fit with the DNA potentially as we discussed before. So anyway, that's
We'll
what I'm
see.
taking away from
We'll
this.
see.
I could be wrong, but
Hopefully we don't have to wait much longer to find out.
I'm pretty sure that we have to wait about a week to find out.
That's my
Because I'm
hunch.
pretty sure we'll get our answer in the next episode. I do appreciate the chocolate martini callback from season one. That's a classic.
Yep.
Okay, ready to continue? All right. So Van enters the house, re-enters the house. She has the oxygen and the mask. The CO2, or is it CO2?
It's a carbon monoxide detector.
CO1?
And this is not, yeah, CO.
Yeah, CO. Thank you. I'm like, CO2 seems wrong. That's because the two means dioxide.
That's right.
Anyway, CO, the
Can you
carbon
imagine how
monoxide.
annoying it would be if we had carbon dioxide detectors?
Carbon dioxide detected. Carbon dioxide. I don't know why it has a voice now. Anyway,
Do nothing. Go about your normal business.
keep breathing, assholes. Anyway, okay. The carbon monoxide detector's beeping. Van asks what happened, seeing Ty on the ground. Mel says that she closed the flue. Van reopens it. Van takes Ty outside, putting the oxygen mask on. Suddenly, Ty is in some kind of cave and there's a phone there. And she hears Van, like back in the real world. And then real Ty shows up and tells her to hang up. You're not what she needs. And the bad one says, "You never know what the fuck she needs." And then regular Ty tackles the bad one. And Van asks her to breathe. Back in the real world, Ty wakes up and she says, Van, that is, it's really you. Or it's, I'm sorry, Ty says it's really me, but that means it's really,
Oh my goodness.
anyway, I'm sorry.
It's the real Ty, not the
It's
bad
the real
one.
Ty waking up. That's the point. I'm sorry. I had a hard time
Yeah,
phrasing
you
that.
did.
Van gets up to go get Shauna passed out on the kitchen floor. She takes her out to Ty for oxygen. And then Van goes back in the house, grabbing the knife and going to Melissa on the ground, tied up. And we'll come back to that later.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, kids. If your carbon monoxide detector doesn't go off until you've already passed out, it doesn't work properly. I
This is
I cannot stress enough. This is exactly the kind of situation that a carbon monoxide detector is supposed to prevent.
this is our me public service announcement of the
Yeah,
week.
my
Or your
PTA,
me pet peeve of the week thing.
yeah.
Because like this didn't bother me at all, but like you were instantly like, what is this with
It's
this
infuriating.
fucking
It's like, what the fuck? Why do you think we need a carbon monoxide detector? If this is what you think a carbon monoxide detector is supposed to do, then of course you don't have a need for one, right? It's like, God, it's like, okay, I'm just, it's so infuriating, right? So it would be one thing if she like tied them up and then closed the flue, and then it doesn't matter whether the carbon monoxide detector goes off, thus letting them know that they are in imminent danger because they're tied up, right? This is like, it's like when people, oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. He's just like, what is the rationale here? And I do not buy that. Okay, so let's say they're standing up, carbon monoxide rises,
oh
I
boy.
guess. So I guess
Some
I
more
don't even know
tea.
if that's true. I don't even know if that's true. Like, why are they passed out and she's not?
I,
So just is carbon monoxide heavier than carbon or lighter than carbon dioxide? You look like you have an answer to this. Did you
no, I
Google
don't. I
it?
don't. I was just
Okay.
gonna say that was the thing that bothered me.
Yeah, it's annoying
The
because she's closer to the
Yeah, she's.
fireplace.
I mean, that's putting it mildly. She's in
She's
front
at
of
the
the fireplace.
fireplace.
That's where
So,
she turns the shit, and
yeah.
then it's like Shauna's in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and Ty.
So firefighter. So if there's a firefighter listening, I'd love to know, like, is there a scientific reason why she would be less affected by the carbon monoxide? Because otherwise, I'm gonna have to assume that she's been Count of Monte Cristoing herself with microdosing carbon monoxide, waiting for this very moment.
I knew this day would
I
come.
knew someday I would have to close the flue on the fireplace in order to kill people and survive myself.
Yeah,
And that's also
she's
why I
fine.
tampered with my own carbon monoxide detectors.
Like she doesn't even seem like she's not even like cough. Like she seems totally fine, and I have no
Yeah.
idea why. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's just like that's her superpower is like she can breathe carbon monoxide for some reason. I don't know. It's weird as shit. Um, but all right, is that good for you?
That is everything that I had
All
to
right,
say
all
about
right.
that. Except for like what, okay, just one last thing. Like it
Go
I
for it.
I this is just the final coda of my irritation with the way that they seem to keep changing their mind about how present the other one is this season.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Okay, so yeah, I want to make a few
But it's
comments.
like they have to have her save Ty because they know where they're going.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And to know it's
And that's that phone, there it's a callback to that.
it
It was a
is.
different phone,
It's a different phone.
but
And it doesn't like I thought maybe it was gonna like I thought maybe she was gonna say the thing, from earlier, like
mhm.
help or whatever it was she heard. I thought they were gonna do that shit, kind of like a leftovers thing. But like they didn't, it wasn't that. She was just hearing what Van was saying, almost like it was just a phone to her consciousness, like barely in there.
Consciousness phone.
Like that's how it came off.
Yeah.
I also like this visualization, like kind of bothers me, but I was thinking about like I sort of get why they do this because like it is. I mean, she's good at conveying the idea with facial expressions, but I think the point they want to make here is hard to do without something like this.
Yeah.
So like I think it makes sense that they show it, even if it feels a bit like unsatisfying, and like the back and forth is like I don't know. It's like I don't really get it. Like the whole thing of like you don't have what it takes to help Van, or you don't know
Yeah.
what she needs, or you don't know it's just like it all feels like nonsense to me. So I'm just like
Yeah.
it's a wash. I'm not sure what to think of any of that.
Yeah, but it feels like it's also a reference to the Joseph Campbell hero's journey cave thing,
Oh yeah.
like they set up the hero's journey from
Right.
before. um yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
particularly, when it was happening I was like, oh, this is like the Joseph Campbell thing,
Yeah.
but I don't actually think that that is a very rewarding path to try to walk down in interpreting things, because I think that usually when TV shows pick up things like that and try to reapply them, they're usually not done in a very deep way.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, like it was supposed to be Van's hero's journey, and she's not even involved in the cave thing. So
you're not wrong, but I do think that they're going for that with the cave. I mean, there's also a cave, like the gas cave. The
it's a
idea of
valid point.
hallucinating as a result of being poisoned by gases is something that literally exists
Yeah,
already on the
yeah,
show.
yeah,
But anyway, I just feel like I have to say it, or else listeners are going to be like, but it's the Joseph Campbell thing and you didn't say
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I can just check that box that I said
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no, it's valid. It's valid. I don't think it's not. I'm just saying, like, yeah, if you try to make it literal, it doesn't work. But
Yeah, 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 yeah.
as an illusion, I guess it can work.
Yeah.
Okay. So, oh, the other thing I was gonna bring up about the bad one is like, um, uh, the way it used to work was like she would like usually she would go to sleep, right? And like so, later on, like maybe she didn't go to sleep anymore, but like she would flip, right? And then when she came back, like here's an example, like at season 2, they eat Jackie, and then
They ate Jackie?
they ate Jackie.
Sorry. I missed
Um,
it.
Thaisa comes out in the morning. She's like, "Oh my god, what happened? Holy
Yeah,
shit!"
yeah, yeah.
Right? She didn't remember any of that. There was all the stuff with Sammy that she didn't remember doing.
Yeah.
Like she didn't know that she made that altar. Simone had to tell her. Right? So it's like it's been that was the setup we were led to believe that when she does stuff as bad one, regular Thaisa doesn't remember,
Yeah.
right? But like now, I'm like, I don't know if that's really true. Like it kind of seems like that's not even a thing anymore.
Yeah.
And like she can just like flip between, like they make it binary here because they have to portray the scene that they
Yeah.
want to show. Like having a spectrum at war is not like a great thing to
Yeah.
visualize. I wouldn't want them to try, but like uh it's like it is like both of them know what the other one's doing all the time now, and it's
Yeah.
just like it's almost like it's not even much of a thing. It's just like if Thaisa does something bad, it's the bad one,
Yeah.
and if Thaisa does something good, it's the good one.
It's kind
and
of
like
convenient,
and
really.
like that's it, you know what I mean? Like the way it was done, it just seems like we're done with that, and
Mhm.
like now we're into more of a like it's like barely a thing.
Did you eat the last slice of pie that I was saving for myself? No, it was the
It was the
bad
bad
one.
one. It was a very, very bad mouse.
Oh no. Oh no, I
There's,
knew I shouldn't have left it out on the countertop
if that was bad,
next to the
how could it taste
cheese.
so good?
Oh
All right.
boy.
Anyway, sorry. Okay. I actually want to say a bit more about Thaisa later as regards Van, but I don't think this is the time to do that. So are you ready to continue?
I
All
am.
right. So we go back to the past. This is it right here for the past. The others, Nat, Akila, and Mari wait, wondering what happened. Gan and Mel arrive and tell them what happened with Hannah and that Shauna knows. As they talk about it, we zoom in on Natalie, and gradually the others fade away, and Nat is crying alone as it starts to snow. Then she sees someone walking through the woods. It's Misty. Misty uncovers the emergency transmitter from the plane. She pulls out the circuitry and finally finds an antenna in there fully intact. Nat asks what she's doing, and Misty says, I know how to get us home. And Nat says, Oh my God, you have the fucking transponder. And that's where we leave the past.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh man. If we could have shown this scene to season two, was it season two?
It was season one.
Season
It
one?
was the
Yeah.
pilot. I remember when or she might have destroyed the thing in
No,
episode
no, 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 no,
two.
no. I mean, I mean the episode where um Misty shows up when and like cuts Natalie's
Oh,
like starter
yeah.
cable or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were talking at the time about, does Nat know
Yes.
what Misty did with the transponder?
Correct. Yeah.
That is the us that I wanted to show this scene to.
Well, so what I was thinking is I remember the first time I did a rewatch, we did a rewatch. Like it was when we what happens in the pilot is like Natalie leaves the like rehab place she's in and comes back to New Jersey, and Misty is on a date, and she comes in, and Natalie's there with the gun and says, Hello, Misty, you crazy fucking bitch.
Uh-huh.
Right? And I remember when I watch it again thinking, I think she knows about the fucking
Uh-huh.
transponder. Like, that's how that reads to me. Then later, I changed my mind about it. There was the crystal thing, and I started thinking, oh, no one's ever going to find out. Like, that's just going to be Misty's little secret. Like, maybe she'll tell the adults eventually, and we'll get a little thing out of that. But like I resign myself that like the teens like just didn't learn that that happened.
Yeah.
So anyway, when we finally get here, it's like, oh
Mhm.
shit, it works again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally, because like taking that point a bit further, like going back to that initial line that Natalie says as an adult to Misty, like from what she knows so far and from what we've seen so far of Misty, I do not feel it's justified like
Yeah.
to say that, like, right? Because like I don't think from what she knew of Misty that she is any crazier than any of them
Yeah.
are, really. You know, I just don't think there's basis for that. And so like I feel like this is a step in the direction of explaining an aspect of what Misty did that the others didn't do that would make her stand apart.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, especially as her character has been developing this season, because she did go kind of off the rails previously, drugging them all and accidentally, and then she was really
Yeah,
marginalized from them. But that has settled or shifted. And she's just been kind of in the background,
yeah,
um just like doing fairly normal stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's
So
like she had the crazy thing with Coach Ben,
yeah,
right? But then I'm thinking, yeah, but like Lottie was like, let's force feed Coach Ben to
yeah, I
force him to
mean,
stay alive. And I'm
right,
like, isn't Lottie crazy that, you know?
yeah,
For example, just for example. Like, so anyway, like it's very satisfying to get to this point. I also thought it was interesting, like the way they filmed this scene. Like
Yeah.
it's weird how like they're having this meeting and they're all there and then we kind of zoom in and then they're just gone.
Yeah.
I guess implying that they just like left
They
and
drifted
she
off
just
and
like
she's still
sat there by
there.
herself for a while.
Yeah.
But the way they shoot it, it feels like they just like
I
vanished.
think it was really well done.
Yeah.
I thought it was affecting, and you see the breathing. You notice earlier in the episode that you can see people's breath. I don't remember seeing that in a previous episode, but I noticed it earlier in this episode, so it's a little bit foreshadowing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we get the
The snow.
snowfall. This just yeah, this just sense of well, it's over now. Like
Yeah.
that bit of hope that we
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, it's,
Um,
I mean, we're very much back in a similar place to where we were at the end of season one when the winter
mhm.
started, you know. But now that they've already done all this stuff, like they're like so much further in a crazy direction than they were back then. That like, yeah, I think they've like, to me at least, convincingly done the work to get them to the wilder stuff that we're seeing in the pilot. Like I can sort of buy that. Like that kind of makes
Yeah.
sense, but this also like makes me wonder about like what's going to happen here. So like is it going to be like Natalie and Misty having a secret thing where they're trying to like repair this thing and call someone? They have to like get to high
I mean,
ground
that would make sense.
and they actually do it separately, you know, on their own as like a
Yeah.
rogue mission. And like is this maybe part of why, because like Misty was really fixated on Natalie, you
Yeah.
know, and there was that line of like we wouldn't be here if it weren't for Natalie, which obviously is very vague and could mean a number of things, and I
Yeah.
don't think they necessarily knew what it meant at the time and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But anyway, if it's true, then it could fit very well with this if this actually does lead to their getting rescued eventually.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that we're actually like not only on a path to the pit, but we're also potentially on a path to rescue because really both of them can't be too far away, right?
Right.
Both of them are mere months away at this point.
Yeah.
Like they have to be. Um, Bigger questions for like the future of the show, but I think that's what we'll talk about next week. Okay. You ready to continue?
Let's do it.
All right, back to the present. Van cuts Mel free and stands over her with the knife. Mel says, "Wait, it's not the only option." She says, "If you leave me alone, it could end now." Van says that she has cancer and there's a chance that killing Mel might allow her to live. Mel says, "Come on. You know that's not real." Van says she doesn't know. Mel says there's goodness in you, Van. Van says, "You don't know me anymore." Mel says, "Okay, do it. I'll be your sacrifice." Van tries, but can't do it, breaking down. Mel says, "You don't want to be that." And she agrees. Mel sits up, grabs Van's knife hand, stabs her and says, "But I do." And then says, "Isn't this what it wants?" And Van falls over. And then we cut to Van on the plane watching a movie of her own death. Shauna asks where Mel is. Ty sees Van and starts crying, cradling her. T Van is on the plane saying it's hard to watch. A Van says she's dead herself. Avan says, "Why send me in there if I was just gonna die?" T Van says, "It wasn't my call. This is just how our story goes." Avan says, "I was supposed to be a hero." T Van says, "You are. You saved them and you, quote, got the real love of our life back. You show me a better treasure." Avan says, "Great, now I'm dead." T Van says, "Surviving this was never the reward." Avan says, "What does that mean? If this isn't the ending, then tell me what happens." And T Van says, "Where would the fun be in that?" And that's the end of our episode
Mm.
as we hear Glycerine calling cover version calling back to the earlier scene from the season where they used that with Van and Sayisa. Yeah. So this is what I was alluding to earlier. um you know, it really feels like I guess I feel like there's maybe a pattern forming here now, because I felt like season two sort of did this too, to a degree, and probably season one too, but I have to think about it a little harder, where like they try to align or contrast the adult and teen timelines, and like
Yeah.
maybe that's part of why they're like pulling Van into a more like sympathetic, less wilderness believing place in the teen timeline, because that's where she is in the adult one, you know.
Yeah, I can see that.
um I mean, it kind of made me think that. um but yeah, like it's weird that, so like Van is uh Van is she's just been in the hospital. She's got cancer. She's not like super what like if Melissa wanted to, she could just have run. She did not need to kill Van here. That was totally unnecessary.
It's true.
And or punch Van or something, right?
Yeah.
Like if you think she's gonna stop you, right? Knock her over. Like there's like
Slit
much
her
milder
Achilles
things.
heel.
Yeah, there's like so many things she could have done, but she chooses to stab her in the chest, totally unnecessary. And she says, isn't this what it wants? Which I'm like, that's weird, right? So I guess this is contrast, right? We have past Melissa doing the opposite thing, and we have present day Melissa like going all in,
Yeah.
and it's like, what the fuck? And to me, this just raises like, if she's willing to do that, like now I'm like, okay, all bets are off with you, Melissa. Like, what the fuck is your deal? Because this was totally unnecessary. Now let me defend her for a second. Okay. So, you know, she sees them and she runs. Let's forget about why she runs. They do tackle her and force her in a car, and they won't let her out. They take her to the house and they tie her up. Van goes in there with a knife, and she is like literally thinking about killing her. So all of that's valid, right? All like a degree of a self-defensive posture is not uncalled for here. Let me be fair about it, okay? It's not like they were totally nice to her the whole time and then she just did this.
Yeah.
But there is such a thing as like proportionate force,
Yeah.
and Van was obviously not going to do anything. That was the whole point of the scene. She even says, "You don't want to be that." But I do. So it's like she's like making the point that like Van isn't gonna do shit, but now I'm just gonna kill you because that's what it wants. Like, what? I don't know. To me, that's weird. And like I think if I'm gonna throw her in with Lottie, that's actually the closest, that's the best thing I can think of to throw her in with Lottie. The fact that she's even like validating this stuff about it. That's the most Lottie thing that we've seen her do
Yeah.
so far. So I feel like it's in a way too obvious, because this is the kind of scene that I feel like is meant to make us think, oh, so she did kill Lottie. Like, I'm not totally convinced by that, but I think it's possible. Or she had some interaction with Lottie. I don't know, something maybe is there, but I feel like there's just some missing bits here,
Yeah.
and
Clearly.
it's driving me crazy. And like I feel so gullible that I just bought every bit of horseshit she was throwing out in the last thing, and so now sending the tape is like cast in a different light. you
Definitely.
know I'm like, oh, was it a threat? Were you trying to provoke them? Like, I'm not really sure. It seems possible. Okay. And then, we get classic death dream for Van. I have to say, like, I found myself strangely sad that Van was dying,
Yeah.
even though, like, I'm not totally satisfied with Van's characterization, as I mentioned earlier. She's flip flopped. So, like, teen one's already flip flopped like twice or three times, and adult one. I think back to the end of season two when she's the one who's like, "All right, that's enough shuffling. Let's fucking do a sacrifice, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Is this supposed to be the follow-up to that? That like she was psyching herself into it, but like in the end, she didn't really believe in it. And like if it came down to it, like if she was there, like with Shauna, they're doing a hunt, and it came to it, she wasn't actually gonna do it. Like, are we supposed to believe that? Like, is that the idea? Like she was trying to push herself into it, but like it wasn't really there, or did she really just totally flip from that point? I don't know. It's
Yeah,
unclear.
like she wanted to get over the anticipation or
Yeah,
something, just like get it over with.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
And it's also interesting, like, I was just thinking, like, one of the most secure jobs on television is a job for someone playing the teen version of someone who has an adult version on the show.
Yeah.
You know, you ain't gonna die.
Yeah.
You're in there till the end, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
no way.
I do
So,
wonder if Teen Van, if we're gonna see less of her now.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. Obviously, like, Teen
I
Lottie
mean, that goes
and
in waves anyway, because there's just so many of them.
yeah, 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 yeah. But like Teen Lottie and Teen Nat, like they got more focus last season when they were more focused as adults. So that's like
Yeah.
that's a thing. I think that there's a very good chance that will happen. Also, like Natalie and Travis, like really just took a huge backseat. It's interesting to me that he's not even involved in this whole plan thing
Yeah.
when he was all. I mean, he was. I mean, the
Well, he's doing his own
implication.
thing. I mean, he
Yeah,
tried that pit play
but
and
they didn't bring him in. I don't know. I just think
yeah,
that's a
but
bit
it's
weird.
like he's been off doing his own thing for so long, and now we know what he was doing. He was building
Yeah.
he was building a spiked pit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. It's just weird that like that's not why he wanted to do it, but like that's what it's gonna turn. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
I guess that's Travis's story this season. It is like unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Um okay. So yeah, I don't know. I was surprised that I cared, because I do feel like adult Van like has been like kind of frustrating and like I wanted more, and I don't know, maybe that's part of it, but I do think it was effective the way they did it.
Yeah, that's the
So
thing. I think that it's not about how much it's only somewhat about how much you like or agree with the character. It's a lot about how it's filmed and how effectively, they filmed, edited, all of that, written. Um, and I think that they did a good job. It was sad. I mean, I don't think it was the saddest death, that I've seen on TV recently, but it was affecting.
yeah.
And even though I did strongly suspect she was going to die either in this episode or next episode.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. I just like if I had thought about it, I would have thought like this is a death that I would have been like, intellectually sad about, but like I'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I don't know. Like I was surprised that
those
it
are
it
called
actually got to me.
feelings. That's a feeling.
What can I say? Yeah,
You
I
felt
have
a
feelings
feeling.
sometimes.
A
Yeah,
frustration? No, not that one.
not that one, not this time. Yeah, yeah, luckily I wasn't like frustrated by the scene because that would have ruined it.
Yeah.
Obviously like, T-Van's like half-ass answers, whatever, like that's fine. That's like standard Death Dream stuff. But uh yeah, so this is the final thing I want to say about that. Like I was all ready to get on the podcast today, and here's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say like I'm a little worried about Ty and Van on this show because I feel like they have like Sun and Jin to them, where like they've become a unit. They've
Yeah.
become like a single thing that their stories are so intertwined, they're inseparable from each
Yeah.
other. And I feel like that's a problem because, going back to season one, like Taisa had her own story, that was like
Yeah, you
separate
have to
from.
introduce conflict. You can't let that happen for too long.
Yeah. So it's like and I'm also glad that they didn't I'm sorry, JP, that they didn't do spoilers, y'all, a full Sun and Jin and have them both die.
Yeah.
I think for like it could have gone either way. I think it makes sense to have Thaisa live. She's the OG character, And I think like in a way there's more to resolve with her character than with Van. So like that all kind of tracks for me, and I think it's better for the future of her character that she's not going to be inextricably linked to Van from
Yeah.
now on.
Yeah.
It leaves room, that Shauna Thaisa scene from season one where they just like sit in bed and like hang out and like chat. Like, it's a great scene where like nothing of plot relevance happens. And like they haven't had any time for anything like that. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I get like things happen. It's hard to just like work that in. But anyway, I think it's not that I'm glad that Van is dead, because like I said, I was actually sad about it. But I do think like the way they were, I think it's clear to me that they were writing Van and Thaisa as a unit because they were going here.
Yeah.
They wanted to make the bond as strong as possible so that when we get here, it's like
The
as ranking
treasure,
as it
the
can be.
heroism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it also ends up overriding a logical thing that they don't address, which usually in a situation like this, I would think that they would, which is that, just a few months ago, you had resigned yourself to death. You were deliberately not seeking further treatment for your cancer. You would like,
Yeah.
and then so it and then you had this hopeful period where maybe it was in remission, but you were still cautious, and then now you are, it's back, you don't have much time, you're on hospice, and then you get killed, and it's separate. Like, normally something in that death dream would address some of that arc, but
Oh, yeah.
it didn't,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
her death didn't either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it was all about this like heroic thing of you died saving your true love from the bad one, so I
Yeah.
better not see her as the bad one again, because otherwise this is really undercutting the heroism.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And I'm not convinced we'll
Um,
never see the bad one
yeah, so I'm
again.
like a little bit, I like that you found it touching, and I found it touching too, but there's also an aspect of uh horseshittery, I'm gonna say, in it, because I'm like,
Yeah. Are y'all really done with the bad one show? Like, I kind of
yeah,
doubt it,
yeah. Or
frankly.
is Ty gonna be forever changed as a result of having gone through this? I doubt it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
Um,
got to do something, but yeah, I think that does seem like a bit much, but uh, yeah, I think it leaves me more optimistic about the future of Ty on the show. So
mhm.
so there is
Well,
that. But
good.
yes, characterization problems for adult Van also there for 100%.
Yeah.
Like that did bother me. That place, like you could believe she got her hope back with
Mhm.
Thaisa, and then like it goes into remission, but then it turns into, oh, we got to kill someone, and then it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Let's just enjoy the time we have left.
Yeah.
And now here we're back to, oh, I got to kill you so I can stay alive. And then no, I don't want to do. It's, I don't know.
Mhm.
Van's a real flip flopper, and yeah, I do wish they had finessed those points more,
Yeah.
or like you said, like tried to like draw some kind of line there that made sense in the death dream. It does feel like it could have worked maybe if they tried, but yeah, it does seem like they just didn't really try.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do feel like they forget what they did with Van, or they just don't want to remember. Like, in a way, it's like a lot of that stuff Van did was functional, and so it's like, oh, did she just do that because you needed that to get to a certain point, and like you didn't really think through the consequences of
Mhm.
what that means for the character? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's flawed, and that's why I would have thought like Probably, I'm think yeah, of like all the characters that could have died. I feel like this is the one I would expect to bother me, and maybe that is true that it would bother me the least. But I would expect I would take it more coldly than I
Yeah.
did. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe it's just the acting or whatever. Something sold it for me. I don't know. Glycerine. I don't know what it
Yeah,
was.
I think it was probably
I
glycerin.
don't know. I
I
don't.
think it was glycerin that did
The
it.
callback was nice. Like I appreciate that element of actually thinking that through. Um and So anyway, that's where we leave things this week. So, you know,
Yeah,
we'll be back.
that's our penultimate episode.
Yeah, next week with our final.
Next week we're gonna get the answer of who killed Lottie. I'm
Yep.
confident, and
And like
then
maybe some more shit on what's going on with Melissa. Like
yeah,
why she sent the tape.
be disappointed if the answer is the Melissa killed Lottie, unless unless it's really good. Like how, why,
Yeah. I
um,
think they'll have to tell us, and yeah, it kind of
yeah,
depends for me, like
yeah,
what they tell us, how good of an answer that is. I do feel like that's too obvious. Then again, I've
yeah,
said that before, so we'll see.
yeah.
But
I mean, I've been disappointed by shows before.
another thing that's worth pointing out is this week's title was not a joke. For once,
It was
like
not good.
they actually made a serious title for
Yeah,
once. So that's something.
yeah, that's
I
nice.
think it's like the first one this season that wasn't
Okay.
a joke, which I
Maybe
think
there's
is
a
weird.
double entendre that we're missing.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
But anyway,
Uh,
well, kids, go get yourself at, I can't stress this strongly enough, at an authorized carbon monoxide detector. Do not buy any Temu carbon monoxide detector. Get the real deal, okay? The real deal. And test it monthly. I don't know.
and put in code Jacket Jockeys for
Yeah,
20% off
there you
your
go. It's
authorized
worth it.
carbon monoxide detector. You won't
You're
regret it.
worth it.
All right. Well, until next time, a beep,
Buzz,
beep,
buzz,
beep.
buzz. Nice. Nice, but the beeping, we're already dead.